you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Yahuwah is the awesome one. There is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, we lift our hands. We lift our voice. We celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. We lift our hands, we lift our voice, we celebrate our champion. We sing halal, halal Yahuwah, for the King who is victorious. Yahuwah is the awesome one, and there is none like you. With you we win. You're our champion. With you we can lose. We always win. You're our champion. Oh, Shalom, 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 shalom. As we're gathered here on this great Yom in our Sabbath class, yes, that's right, our Sabbath class. We want to thank you for tuning in. Whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook, we want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to the Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Great Belief Congregation Sabbath class. We want to begin by doing the Baruch of the Torah, and then after the Baruch of the Torah, we're going to go into the reading of the 10 Commandments. And so, repeat with me, Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah.
The Baruch one.
The Baruch one.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
Baruch is Yahuwah.
The Baruch one.
The Baruch one.
For all eternity.
For all eternity.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who selected us from all the peoples.
Who selected us from all the peoples.
And gave us his Torah.
And gave us his Torah.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
And implanted eternal life within us.
And implanted eternal life within us.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Now we have the reading of the 10 Commandments done by Mattathias. And it is so.
Devarim 5:6-22. Aleph. I am Yahuwah your power, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the bed of slavery. Bet you shall have no other power before me. You shall not make you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in Shemayim above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the mire beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah your power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that have me and keep my commandments. Gimel, you shall not take the name of Yahuwah your power and falsify it, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name and empties it. Dalet, guard the Sabbath day to set it apart, as Yahuwah your power has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah your power. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, the man that is within your gates, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you are a servant in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahuwah your power brought you out of there through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore Yahuwah your power commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Hey, esteem your Av and your Im as Yahuwah your power has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahuwah your power is about to give you. Why? You shall not murder. Saying, neither shall you commit adultery. Ket, neither shall you steal. Tet, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. You, neither shall you desire your neighbor's isha, neither shall you covet your neighbor's bed, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahuwah spoken to all your assembly in the mount, out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stone and delivered them unto me. And it is so.
And it is so. Devarim chapter 6, verses 1-18, and it reads, these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah your power commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you are going to enter and possess it, that you might fear Yahuwah your power to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the yamim of your life, and that your yamim may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yahshua, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah power of your Abbas has promised you in the land that flows with milk and honey. Power of your Abbas has promised you in the land. Shema Yahshua. Hear, O Yahshua, Yahuwah our supreme one. Yahuwah is Akkad, and you shall ahab Yahuwah your supreme one with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words which I command you this yom shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your bed, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon you. They shall be to fall to what?
To bind to the mind.
To bind to the mind. And you shall write them upon the posts of your bed and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahuwah your power shall have brought you into the land which he swore unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov, to give you great cities which you did not build, houses which you did not build, and houses full of all great things which you did not fill. and wells dug which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. When you shall have eaten and be full, then beware lest you forget Yahuwah which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the bed of slavery. You shall fear Yahuwah your power and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after other power or the power of the people which are round about you. For Yahuwah your power is a jealous power among you, lest the anger of Yahuwah your power be kindled against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Abba Yahuwah your power as you tempted him in Massa. You shall diligently, keep the commandments of Yahuwah your power and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. And you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahuwah, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the great land which he swore to your Abbas. And it is so.
And it is so.
That's what it's saying. So.
Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. Oh, Yahuwah, oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. Oh, Yahuwah, oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. Oh, Yahuwah, oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. Oh, Yahuwah, oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Clap like every clap. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Clap like every clap. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Clap like every clap. Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. 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 Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Clap like every clap. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Clap like every clap. Ain't the devil ain't nobody mad, but the devil ain't nobody mad, but the devil dance like David dance. Ain't nobody mad, but the devil ain't nobody mad, but the devil ain't nobody mad, but the devil dance like David dance. Ain't nobody mad, but the devil ain't nobody mad, but the devil ain't nobody mad, but the devil dance like David dance. Ain't nobody mad, but the devil 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 dance like David dance. Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. 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 Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. 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 Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Pray like David prayed. Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you. 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 Oh, Yahuwah, we praise you.
Allah Yahuwah, Allah Yahuwah, Allah Yahuwah. Worthy, worthy, worthy is our King. We praise him for all that he's doing, all that he's done, and all that he's yet going to do in the lives of us, his people. We want to turn our attention to Yahush, the son of Nun, chapter 1. Excuse me, we're going to begin with verse 6, 7, and then we're going to recite verse 8. We have a statement of so.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Excuse me.
And it is so.
All right. Begin at verse 6. Be strong and of a great courage, for to this people shall you divide for an inheritance the land, which I swore to their abbas to give them. Only be you strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the Torah which Moshe, my servant, commanded you. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. Verse 8, as I've tailored it to fit a time of confession, repeat with me. I will not let this scroll of the Torah
I will not let this scroll of the Torah
depart out of my mouth,
depart out of my mouth,
but I shall meditate therein,
but I shall meditate therein,
Yom and Layla,
Yom and Layla,
that I may observe to do
that I may observe to do
according to all that is written in it.
according to all that is written in
But
it.
then I shall make my way prosperous,
For then I shall make my way prosperous,
and then I shall act wisely.
and then I shall act wisely.
And look at your neighbor, tell your neighbor, you shall act wisely, and you shall act wisely. Look at your other neighbor, tell your other neighbor, you shall act wisely, and you shall act wisely. Take your hand and place it over your heart and say, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
Come on, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
Come on, I am determined
I am determined
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
Come on, I am determined
I am determined
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
And it is so.
And it is
It is so important in this hour and in this season, and I continue to say it, that we act wisely with everything going on, social media, deaths. It is important that we truly understand the importance of acting wisely. Very important. If we're going to prosper and we're going to make it, it's important that we act wisely. It is given to us to act wisely, and it is so.
And it is so.
Let us have another song, please. Excuse me.
How great is Yahuwah? Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah? All will see how great is Yahuwah. Come on, sing with me, how great is Yahuwah? Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah? All will see how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. Yes, you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Oh, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing. Singing, oh, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. All will see how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great, how great, how great Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of our praise. And our heart will sing, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing, how great is Yahuwah. So sing with me, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great, how great, how great Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great, how great, how great Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great, how great, how great Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing, how great is Yahuwah. You're the name above all names. You're the name above all names. And you are worthy of our praise. And our hearts will sing, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great, how great, how great Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Singing, oh, how great, how great is Yahuwah. Sing with me, how great is Yahuwah. Oh, sing, how great, how great, how great is
Yahuwah. We sing praises unto our King for all that he's doing, all that he's done, and all that he's yet going to do. A great expectation of what he's going to say and what he's going to do in the lives of us, our people. At this time, we're going to do our affirmation, our declaration, and then we're going to have our last song, and then we're going to be prepared to go into the meat portion of our class. For those of you maybe tuning in for the first time, This is our appetizer. Anytime you go to a restaurant, you are served appetizers, and then from your appetizers, you go into your main course, and you order. And so this is what is on the menu, and it is always on the menu for our Sabbath class. And so at this time, we have what are affirmations. Affirmations help us to be reminded and keep us reminded of the importance of maintaining our consistency and keeping up with the code of conduct. Many of us are aware and of things that are going around us and things that are taking place in our cities and nearby our cities, and we know that it's important, excuse me, that we have a code of conduct. And so these are affirmations that I have, that the Abba has given to me to share with you all. And it is a part of our makeup. It is a part of our growth and our development. It is important that we understand that, because we can't grow and develop unless we have a standard that we live by. And this is what is so important. The Torah is our guideline. The renewed covenant is our guidelines. But one of the things that I find with a lot of our people is that it is hard to bring it into practical practice. And what I mean by that is following the instructions and doing what he's called us to do, and without adding to it and without taking away from it. And so these are some of the things to help us be reminded of our purpose and be reminded of why he brought us out of darkness into his marvelous light, why he gave us these great benefits. This is so important for us as a people. And so I pray that you will read them along with us, and that it will become a part of your lifestyle as well. Excuse me, it's important. It's just like taking a shot of vitamin C every day. And when I say vitamin C, I'm not just talking about taking in a vitamin. I'm talking about taking the fruit, getting the fruit, juicing it, having it. It is important that these things are a part of our daily lives to help us stay healthy, help us stay strong. You need calcium to build the bones. And without these things, your bones will become brittle. And calcium is very important. It's not just with your bones, but with your teeth, with your hair, with your eyes. These are things that are important. These are the things that help build the body and keep the body. And so it's so important that we keep these things. I know sometimes we have to drive by and the ride by, and people basically say, well, I'm great. I don't have to do that. I eat well. Eating well is a part of it, but also you need that extra boost. And so fruit and vegetables are really very important to be a part of our intake. And so this is important for our intake because it helps us. And I encourage you, if you've not been doing it, and if you have not done it or you slacked up, please get back to your affirmations, because affirmations help us to stay on point, help us to stay on the one. I learned that term on yesterday, y'all. Stay on point. It's important to stay on the one. I'll tell you about that later. But repeat with me. I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I am Ibram.
I am Ibram.
I am born again.
I am born again.
I am Ibram.
I am Ibram.
I have the life and nature
I have the life and nature
of Yahuwah and my ruach.
of Yahuwah and my ruach.
That life is
That life is
the Torah of Yasharal.
the Torah of Yasharal.
I purpose to walk in
I purpose to walk in
the Torah of life.
the Torah of life.
Yahuwah's Torah,
Yahuwah's Torah
Yahush,
Yahush
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's knowledge
Yahuwah's knowledge
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's Ahab
Yahuwah's Ahab
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's power
Yahuwah's power
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's wisdom
Yahuwah's wisdom
is in me.
is in me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching
He is leading me.
He is leading
I am a child of Yahuwah.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
The Ruach
The Ruach
HaKodesh
HaKodesh
of Yahuwah in me
of Yahuwah in me
is leading me.
is leading.
I'll follow her leading.
I'll follow her lead.
I'll walk in the truth. So very important that we maintain our affirmations, our goals, our aspirations, and our desire. Our declaration, excuse me, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
in the name of Yahush,
in the name of Yahush,
our Mashiach,
our Mashiach,
we subdue ignorance
we subdue ignorance
with Torah knowledge.
with Torah knowledge.
And through this knowledge
And through this knowledge
of Torah truth,
of Torah truth,
we claim healing,
we claim healing,
shalom,
shalom,
deliverance,
deliverance,
and salvation.
and salvation.
We decree
We decree
Torah truth
Torah truth
in the lives
in the lives
of your people,
of your people,
our people,
our people,
Yasharal.
Yasharal.
We unite,
We unite
not to fight,
not to fight,
not to fight,
not to fight,
not to fight
not to fight
each other,
each other,
each other,
each other,
each other,
each other,
but the enemy
but the enemy
of our belief.
of our belief.
And it is so.
And it is so.
How many of us are uniting not to fight each other, but the enemy of our belief? Have you ever thought about that confession? We are not to unite to fight each other, but we are to unite to build and to support and to be there to comfort and to console one another when it is needed. Let us not use trickery and let us not use the tactics of the enemy. Come and be a part or get to know a person just so you can know the vulnerable parts or the things of their life and then go away from them and use it as a means to destroy them or to hurt them. It's important that we understand that that part of our confession and declaration is important. We are not to unite to fight each other, but to fight the enemy of our belief. How many of us are really made that a goal? How many of us have made that a goal, or are we willing to make that a goal? To unite, but not to unite to fight or to come and wrestle one another down with beliefs. Let's keep it strictly Torah. Let's keep it, when I say Torah, let's keep it strictly in the writings. Let's follow what the writings say. Let's not add and let's not take away from it. And then when we are able to build, then we can fight against our enemy. But how are we going to fight the enemy and we fighting each other? We easy targets. You definitely you're going to get third party with that mentality. So it's important that we understand that we are not uniting to fight one another, but the enemy of our belief. And it's time that we really start looking at the importance of that. Because many times people just unite just to get you in a place or get other people in a place so that they can begin to deal with them and say, well, I'm glad we're here because I wanted to show you some things that I see that you're doing wrong. Okay, first of all, let's not go at that in that manner. That's not the right way to handle anything. Are you following me? It's a right way and a wrong way to do all things. But let us not unite to fight one another, but let us unite so that we can truly fight the enemy of our belief. And so that we can be strong and we can be a people that's moving forward and not being destroyed because we are having civil wars. We're so busy fighting civil wars and we can't do anything else. It's important that we not do that. And it is so.
And it is so.
Let us have our last song, please.
Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. 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 Yeah, 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 yeah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Ya 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 ya. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. 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 Ya 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 Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has bread. Praise Yahuwah. Everything that has bread. Praise
Yahuwah, we praise him. At this time, we're going to bend or bow. I'm sorry, I'm thinking bend. Bow before our King. And we're going to recite Tehillim 19 and 14. I ask that where you are, you will join in and do the same with us. Repeat with me. May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you.
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before
O
you.
Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
And it is so.
And it is so.
We have just recited Tehillim 19 and 14, and it is so.
And it is so.
You may be seated in his presence. Once again, excited about what all the Abba is going to say to us in this time. Appreciate you for tuning in with us as we're picking up from the week before last. We want to continue with the series, and it is coming from Revelations, verse 1. To give those who are tuning in for the first time just kind of a quick overview to catch you up a little bit with what is going on. Here in chapter 13, we see that Yehukanan is saying, I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. We're going to stop right there and deal with that part. When you look at sea, the terminology means desert region used from Yashayahu 21 and 1, the region of Saudi Arabia. When we look at 7 heads, 7 regions and 10 leaders, the anti-Mashiach is the 11th leader. And then we look at names. Important manuscripts have a plural word for the term names and not the singular name. This is important for us as this correctly describes the 99 names of Allah that are blasphemous to Abba Yahuwah. And you can see those 99 names in any Muslim Quran on the back pages. So what are we doing now? We are following a path that's going to help us to understand and unmask the end time beast. The only reason why for many of us it will remain a mystery and it will remain we will remain ignorant is because we don't really want to know. But I want to know who and where the beast is going to rise from. It is a bad thing to be in a war and you don't know where the enemy is coming from. It is a bad thing to be ready to engage in a war, but you don't even know who you're really warring against. So the Abba has given unto us a people to understand and to know. And the only way to have an understanding and know is that you have Yahush, the Mashiach, in your life, because he is the understanding. Without him, we will not have an understanding of the end times. It is important because people are calling things end time prophecy, which does not line up. It does not line up. It is just like if you were getting married and you had a registry at, say, a real fancy shop, say one of the Hebrew shops. We shop there, and you go and you say, well, for my registry, this is what I want people to go and purchase my stuff from there. Or if you're going to give me a gift, I want you to purchase it from there. And you tell people that, but you yourself don't go and register so that when people start buying or want to buy the stuff, they have no recollection of who you are because you have not made contact or set it up. So you just going blind and you don't know, and the people are trying to do it, but they don't know what to do, because they're going there off of what you tell them. But when they get there, there is no nothing there to prove you are, or that you registered because you have it.
Yeah.
So it's important that we understand you don't want to go somewhere, you don't want to be somewhere, and you don't know who is what, and you don't know what's going on. All you know is that people running around saying end time prophecy, and it does not line up with the writings at all. And so it is important that we come to understand end time prophecy and how it applies to us now and what to look for. So we're taking our time with this, going a little slow. We will also, I want to bring this to the forefront as well. We were also talking on last week about immaculate deception or conception. I'm sorry, immaculate conception. No, I was right the first time. Immaculate deception. For those of you that may want to stay on after we finish this class for about maybe 30 minutes to discuss with us things about having natural birth. I know it is something that many have talked about and many want to know. And many of you that have walked with us for a minute, so you've heard my testimony, well, our testimony, my ish testimony of how we had to deal with a lot of things back in the 80s, giving birth in hospitals and so forth and so on. So I want to also be able to bring that to the forefront, because in the time we're in, y'all, it is imperative and important that you understand end time prophecy and how even those things and what we do and where we go all has a major part in all of this. And so if you would, and if you want to stay on, it's not going to be too graphic, but it will be something to help many new mothers that have been in it for a minute, and maybe you will know someone that's a new mother or desires to be a mother, but they are afraid and they don't understand their options. You have options even in giving birth. So these are some of the things I want to bring and put on the table. But for now, we're going to deal with this. Is the anti-Mashiach Jewish? Many people have learned from the Christian perspective that the anti-Mashiach is going to be Jewish. And you have to understand, these are things that were put out there. A lot of stuff was put out there to keep us off, keep us thrown off, and to keep us imbalanced on a lot of things, because you got to understand, you change the name, you change the game, you change the instructions, you change the whole platform. And so if it is changed, then it makes it very difficult for us to understand the real enemy. While people are running around the white man, understand something. The European man or the no melanated man is only a part of the puzzle. He is not the main piece. He is not the king on the chessboard. He's just a pawn. Are y'all following me? Anybody that understands chess? Pawns are those that can be moving. They can cause you some trouble if you know how to play them on the board. The knights can do it. The rooks can do it. The bishop, yeah. I enjoy playing. Got to keep my pieces. The bishop, the rooks. The queen is my favorite because she can do all of them. But the most important person on the board is the king. And many times we are putting people in positions that they don't deserve. We're trying to make people kings, and we're trying to give people power that was never given to them. Yes, we understand slavery, and we understand that, and never will I ever minimize that, because we are still feeling the effects of it. But understand, there is a greater threat and a greater enemy that we're going to encounter. And it's important to understand who that enemy is and where that enemy will arise from. Are y'all following me? Yeah. Very important. So we're going to look at this. Now, in Yehukanim, chapter 5, verse 43 is where many people draw their conclusion of him being Jewish. He said, I am come in my Abba's name, and ye receive me not. The anti-Mashiach will be Jewish using this verse. Now, it's important that you understand. Yehukanim 5:43 is not evidence that the anti-Mashiach has to be Jewish. Mm-hmm. It is a verse that has been used for a long time to substantiate a person's cause or belief. Are y'all following? Okay. All right. Now, the only scripture that is used in scholarly circles is Daniel 11:37. And it is to prove or disprove his identity. All right, let's go to Daniel chapter 11, verse 37. Once again, it is important and very, very It's important and imperative that we understand or that we correct a lot of falsehood. Because if we don't, once again, that's Daniel chapter 11, verse 37. If we do not change these things or correct them, then this is what continues to have us leapfrogging over one another with the same stuff and continually, generation after generation, perpetuating lies. And we continue to fuel it because we continue to spread it. And people continue to believe it. I'm going to jump ahead of myself just a little bit. The Roman Catholics are not the ones that's going to bring forth the anti-Mashiach. I want you to drill that in your heart and mind. I want you to get that in there. There is no scripture to validate it. There is no scripture to support it.
God.
Most of the time we base stuff off upon what other people opinions and what the populace has agreed to without having substantial amount of evidence or proof. So now we find ourselves just believing. But then when you really look at it and really begin to look at the writings and read them in their original format in Hebrew, then you can understand. Many people have asked me which writings do I use, and this is the one I use, the Nazarene. This is the one I use along with another one. And I'm going to say this. I will not tell or give that one out because it has a lot of, I have the one that was before it was bounded and before corrections came into it. And so there are a lot of things in it that until it is not critiqued, until it is basically fixed, that's one I won't give out. Okay. So it's not that I'm trying to hide anything. It's just that I've made that mistake one time to tell someone about it. And after they start reading and could not understand and digest some of the errors in it, they kind of went left. So at my discretion, I choose not to reveal that one.
God.
So don't shoot me down, don't get angry with me. But as a forerunner and as a Mora, it is important that I use and give out what is necessary.
God.
And to those that are still learning, I'm still learning as well. But I do understand that everybody's not in the same place and everybody can't handle certain things. So the best one is the Netzarim writings. Are y'all following?
God.
This right here has his name in it, and it also puts the writings in their original format and in the order that they are, chronological order that they're supposed to go in. That's a great thing, because when you read the Bible, it picks up at Matthew. Matthew is not the first writings of the renewed covenant.
God.
So once again, important to understand that. Okay, now if you haven't said it, so Daniel 11 and 37.
Is it so?
All right, read that for me, please.
Neither shall he regard the mighty one and his hour, nor the desire of women of leading worship, nor regard any mighty one, for he shall magnify himself above all.
All right. Daniel 11 and 37. I'm going to read that again. All right. And have no regard for the mighty ones of his abbas, nor for the desire of women, nor have regard for any mighty one, but exalt himself above them all. Now, somebody would say, well, why would you use this one? It is important that you understand the characteristic of the anti-Mashiach and what he will desire and what he will not desire. Are y'all following me? All right. First of all, Yehukin 5 and 43 is not a scripture about the coming prince. That is the anti-Mashiach. The writing does not teach that he has to be Jewish or come in his own name. The premise is a straw man in Yehukin 5:43. People who want to use this as an argument build up this straw man, but it fails to prove anything. It is important that you understand scriptural basis and foundation is key. You don't go anywhere. If it's something you're trying to prove or something you're trying to bring forth, you've got to have correct documentation.
God.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
That's important. If you don't have that, then once again, what are you basing your belief system off of? It is important that we understand the Abba's what he has given unto us. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
All right. Nowhere is there even one clear scripture that the anti-Mashiach has to claim to be a Messiah of Yahshua or even be Jewish. In fact, scripture is quite clear that he is a leader and has to sign an agreement in Daniel 9 and 27. Let's go to Daniel 9 and 27. Once again, giving us characteristics and showing us what to look for so that we are not looking for anything, just any old thing, but we're looking for the signs. We're looking for the truth. I hate to use facts because facts change, but truth remains the same. You know, it might be a fact that you like strawberry ice cream today, and you get a batch of a bad one and say, "Oh, I hate strawberry ice cream. I don't like that no more." And now that fact has changed. That now you like chocolate ice cream. So that's a fact, and facts can change from day to day. But a truth is a person that really does enjoy strawberry ice cream or strawberry preserves or whatever, you might get a bad a hold of a bad batch, but guess what? It doesn't make you change from like a strawberry. Your mentality is, hey, that's just what they serve. But I know that strawberry ice cream or strawberry preserves in themselves are great. It is just something, you know, that I got a hold of. I got a hold of bad. That's true.
Yeah.
So it's important that we understand truth over facts. Never take facts to build a platform. Always use the truth, because the truth will never change. It always remains the same, and it will always endure the test of time. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
Very important. All right. This statement in itself, it has a huge significance. The person who is the Mashiach, he has to come in Yahuwah's name. That is the name that Yahuwah of Nazareth was talking about. I come in my Abba's name. So the Father has a name, and likewise, so does the Son, Yahush, which in this case represents the same name. Why would a teacher or a leader who simply has to sign a deal have to worry about what name he represents? There is no reason whatsoever. Second, if Christian scholars are falling ahead over heel to prove this scripture is for the anti-Mashiach, then what hope do the Jews have of ever, or the Ibram, of finding their true Mashiach? Are you hearing me?
Good.
The Ibram have in times past made mistakes of accepting many false messiahs or Mashiachs and have been wrong. We know this to be true because our people follow up behind people that claim to be a deliverer. They claim to be a spokesman. And unless you are truly bringing and calling the people back into the truth, not a truth, then you are not truly qualified. Are y'all following me?
Good.
To be a Mashiach. You have to understand, when Yahush came to do what? To bring back the lost or the prostituting sheep of Yahshua back to the fold of the Abba. You can find that in Matthew chapter 25, and I believe it's around the 14th verse. It's important that we understand that when he came with a purpose. Many times, once again, the problem comes is that we look to the wrong people or the wrong thing to be the deliverer or the Mashiach. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
This has been a major issue, and even now our people still look for a deliverer. My deliverer is Yahuwah through his son Yahush Mashiach.
That's right.
People are looking for a champion. People are looking for somebody to fight for them. I already have somebody to fight for me. He's always been fighting for me, and he will continue to fight for me. But see, we got the mentality of our ancestors. Our ancestors said, give us a champion we can see. Give us someone that'll fight for us and go out and speak for us. Now, many of us, we find ourselves following up behind that because we got to have something that's tangible. He is tangible through his writings. He is tangible through our belief. Are y'all following me? This is what is important, my people. Why is this important? Because so many times we choose our champions. And if you choose a champion that you created, guess what? As sure as you choose him, you can turn right around and refuse him and take him down.
That's right.
A true champion is not so much chosen by the people, but he chooses the people he wants to champion.
Good.
Are y'all hearing me?
Good.
So it's not about lots being passed. Abba Yahuwah chose Yahush to be our champion. We didn't choose him, he chose us.
Right.
And Yahuwah chose him. So it's important that you understand the importance of these things. Because we tend to choose people because we think they're strong, because we think they're smart, because we think they can get the job done.
God.
And the truth of the reality, when we choose, most of the time is because we feel like we have the authority that if they don't do what we want, we can turn around and take you down. I chose you, I put you in this position, so I can remove you from this position. Well, you can't do that with the Mashiach. You can't do that with Yahush.
Right.
Because we didn't choose him. The Abba did.
Right.
But we accepted him when he presented himself to us. Are y'all following me?
God.
That's important for us to understand. All right. And we know we've made mistakes. We've chosen many things. In fact, this anti-Mashiach will simply be just that. He will be anti-true Mashiach and his people. In other words, he will be against the anointed one and his followers.
Yeah.
Not one from their midst. He is not going to be one from our midst, but he is going to be one from the midst of those, and he's going to hate all of the followers, and his followers are going to hate the true believers.
God.
Are you hearing me?
God.
It's important that we understand that. Why is it important? Because once again, if we don't understand these principles and understand these things, it is so easy for the enemy to sidetrack us and take us in places and speak things into our hearts and into our ears that are not valid. Are y'all hearing me? So it's important that we understand this. To understand these, we're going to take a look at the Jews or the Ibram and Christians. Why do you think, or who do you think hates the Ibrams to the point of beheading them? Do Hindus? Do Buddhists? Do atheists? Do Muslims? Yes, they behead, plus anyone else and other secular Muslims who disagree with their belief system and what they believe. If you've ever watched movies, and I'm talking about movies, it was even a segment that came on the History Channel. It was called The Six. I think it was called the Navy SEALs. Was it?
6.
It was called Six. I like military pictures, any kind of like old, new. I like military pictures. And this was a series on the History Channel. I got a chance to see a little bit of it, and then you know how they stop and go on and so forth. But the part I got to was one of the what is it? The series. In the series, one of their episodes, as I look for episodes, thank you. One of the episodes that they had was when one of the SEALs got caught over in not Baghdad. He got caught over in another place. But anyway, he was in a place where he called himself trying to be a help. You know, they go over there and they was fighting and they kind of showing you some of the stuff. It was in an area where it was Muslims and there was Christians. And the Muslims, let me tell you something, didn't take no wood nickels. And neither were they sympathetic, compassionate, but only to their own beliefs. And in this, there were some Hebrews, misguided, blinded, and foolish because they were walking in Christianity. And I'm going to show you the picture that even the world understands, but many times we as a people don't understand. And the girl and her children, which were from a Catholic school, but they were black, cold black, meaning Hebrews. And they were in this desert place, and they ended up getting caught up because the place they were supposed to be doing the drug trafficking and all this was at a school. And so the girls ended up getting taken, and the teacher who was black, and she was over there, and she was African. And so she was trying to protect the kids. And so instead of them violating, which they still ended up violating some of the younger girls, she said, I'll go. Leave the girls alone. Now, mind you, this guy who's from 6, he is a European man, and he's there to be their deliverer. And so he gets caught, and they hang him up on a cross, y'all. And in this episode, the lady is looking out the window singing to him. And she is talking about my Savior. And she's talking about my Lord. And she's going out. And the Muslim man looked at it and he said, and this is your Savior. And you would dare sing about him. And you would dare give him accolades. And he's hung up here. What can he do for you? Now, many of you might think, well, what that has to do with anything? It has a lot because of the perception.
God.
Here is a white man hung up on a cross, and you got this black woman, misguided and blinded, singing out the window to him, telling him, we know you're going to help us, and you were sent here to deliver us. And the Muslim man tells him, said, this is what you believe is your Messiah and your deliverer? The only reason why they didn't get to cut his head off because it was a series. Because that's what they want you to see, but they're telling you the truth.
Right.
In many of these episodes and many of these TV series and in many of these movies, they're showing you truth, raw truth. But many times that's just a movie. That's just a that's just a show. That's just a show. It's not just a show. Even that little bit, that was truth.
God.
And he was telling her, he said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, legs and breasts. Are y'all hearing me?
Yes.
Without a problem, without a thought. And then say the Taliban or somebody was in there and we had to kill him. Disfigure them and go and do all this stuff. But yet, we're willing to believe all this crazy propaganda. Because why? It has been put there for us to believe. Y'all understand something? Knowledge is power. But corrupt knowledge is not power. That's bondage.
God.
Because if I keep getting the wrong kind of power, the wrong kind of information, that's not empowering me. That's subjecting me to be in bondage. Are y'all hearing me?
God.
I was watching this movie called YouTube. It's about an Indian tribe. And just to show you how the Bible, the Christianized Bible, has destroyed a many of people. Destroyed villages, destroyed tribes. Here it is, this man who was a part of I believe he was a part of the British Army. The British Army. And they were going in and they were devastating, taking and killing these people, moving them off of their land and putting the Europeans on their lands, building houses, taking up their land, forcing them to go to church. Forcing them to change their way, their culture, and dress like them, act like them, talk like them. They had programmed them and brainwashed them. And this guy named YouTube he was a scout. And he went into this village where they had about maybe an hour or so had gone, his general before him, with some men. They had gone in there and they had burned and they had killed all of his people. And when he went there, he kind of looked and he had that look about himself. And he was like, this is what y'all didn't tell me you were coming to do this. This is the look he had on his face. And so as he is going, he's looking at the people and he picks up one of the dead man's hands and he compares it with his and he looks. Then he takes the white man's hand and he compares it with his own hand and he looks and he's like, he said, so this is what you are all about. You come through villages with helpless women and children and men, and you kill them for sport. He took the gun right then and there, and he shot and killed one of the men. And he told the other one, he said, you tell your general I'm after him, and I won't stop till I get him. And he made a vow that day where blood had been shed on that land. And he said, I vow to kill every white person that I can find. Now, understand, I'm telling you, this is a movie, so y'all don't go back and talk about, that Mora is telling people to go kill white folk. Don't y'all go back and do that. But I'm telling you and talking to you about a movie. So people that may be tuning in, that's not what I'm saying. I'm giving you an example of being brainwashed against your own people. Sure. So to make a long story short, he goes and he kills and he does, and he's trying to restore. Why? Because he's pushing the people off the land to restore the land back to the original people. And so you find out that even in your quest to bring deliverance and to bring equality, there's everybody that does not agree with what you're doing, even in your own surroundings.
That's right.
Even his own family didn't agree with what he was doing, but they were content with being ran off of their land and living, in small confined places, and they can't grow their own vegetables and they can't have their own animals anymore because it's been taken from them and given to the white people. I'm not talking about hate, y'all. I'm giving you truth and history. Are y'all hearing me? And I'll say this, I pray that it's not too strong for you. But if it is, I bet the Yahweh will a stronger spiritual gut to understand reality and how when things change, they actually remain the same. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And so here it is. He goes and he does all this. And at the end, it's his niece who ends up getting involved with one of the young generals, one of the young officers. Let me tell y'all something. When those men would come, they would grab the young boys and they would violate those young boys. And we're talking about natives of the land. And they would violate those young boys and they would do all types of abominable things to them. But their people would still fight beside them and agree with it. And it became a point to where they were saying, how can you agree with this, but then you fight me because I'm trying to bring equality?
Right.
And so you two, they go into, and they could have succeeded. But once again, it's always those that are in your regimen sometime that you can't trust. And it was his niece who went back and she brought him out to spare his life. And then there was another man there who was basically following after them. And he had a hatred for him because he basically said he killed his wife. His wife killed herself because she was trying to get away from him. And so here it is. He wants to kill him. But he told him, he said, come out, surrender all your ammunition and leave the land. They wanted to fight him. So they fought him. If you're going to engage in a battle, it's important that you understand that either you come out standing or you're going to fall. And they took on to fight them. And many lives were lost. But at the end, his wife ended up dying. When he told him, he said, you and your wife just leave. Give us the ammunition. Give us what belongs to us. And that's this land. They didn't want to do. They wanted to fight for it. So she ended up dying for it. So once again, when they get to the end of it, he's being now judged. The young officer is telling him on the counts of this for murdering a pastor and doing this and doing that. That man wasn't no pastor. That man was brainwashing them people, and he was teaching them fear from the Christianized Bible.
That's right.
If you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. He was telling them people, get away from their heathenistic practices. Don't you know people call us heathens because we keep the Sabbath? Because we keep the feast? And he was like, no, we ain't standing for this no more. So he went in taking people's lives because they had been taking people's lives. They've been killing those people, hanging them and taking their lives. So it gets to the end. And the one that had been the scout for the older general, he killed the general, but he still maintained. There was a part of the movie where he was asking a family member, could he read? He couldn't read. But this general could read, or this scout could read. And as he was reading and he was eating, and his cousin was telling him, he said, I don't see how you can fight with them knowing they fight against us. And he asked him, could he read? And he looked at him and he walked out. Now, let me tell you something. The most powerful thing at that table that man had was the Bible, the Christianized Bible. You know why? Because in the mind of that native, he felt that what was being done was okay. Because he had been Christianized to believe I'm a savage. And the only thing that can save me and help me are these people. They put clothes on me. They show me how to do. You were eating and had clothes on. It just wasn't what they had on. But they were covered. And so now here, all this takes place. And he gets to the end. And his reasoning is that you're wrong because you took lives. It didn't matter that this man was trying to get back what belonged to him. And he told him, I have no remorse and I dare not feel guilty of the things that I've done. He said, so do what you're going to do. So in the end, instead of anybody else killing him, it was another tribal member from another tribe. And he told him, he said, it has to be done. Well, I was all messed up because I'm thinking, if anything, I'm thinking that you would defect and fight with your own people and not with these people that are coming in taking what is yours, because you need to be civilized. So understand what I am saying here. Teaching and information, erroneous information, does not make a person powerful. But what it does do in the hands of a person that's gullible, vulnerable, or ignorant, it makes them subservient and subject to the one that gives them that information. You want to keep a person docile and ignorant, teach them a false sense of life and a false sense of way, you got them for life. And this is what they've done and continue to do. This is the truth. What do you think they do when they go to their parties? What do you think they laugh about? What do you think they talk about? They talk about us, how foolish we can be, and how we know what they've done to one generation, and yet we continually invite them into our circles, and they will never invite you into their circle. Understand, I'm talking truth, and I understand everybody can't handle it because it's strong meat. But if we're going to live and not just survive, we better wise up and know who the real enemy is. The European people are just that distraction. Yes, they are the enemy. But you better understand the greatest enemy out there that's going to be fighting Yahshua is going to be greater than them. Are y'all following me? That's what's important. Never give power to people that it doesn't belong to. That's important. And it is so.
And it is so.
If you answer is Islam, then according to many scriptural references that I have pointed to and will be presenting in this book is called the Unmasking the End Time Beast. Islam is where we need to look for the anti-Mashiach. He is the anti-Mashiach and he is anti-Ibram, period. And let me tell you something too. Not only do they kill Ibram, but they also kill so-called Christians. They also kill other Muslims. The Muslims that are not following in or following in the manner that they're supposed to follow in. They kill them too. The Sunni and the Shiite, right? The Sunni and the Sunni and the I know it's the Sunni and the Shia. I think that's who it is. Let me make sure. Let me double check myself. But I believe it's the Sunni and the Shia. Yes, they are the ones. And you have to understand their views are completely different. Farrakhan views are different. And I know everybody love him to life, but y'all better be careful what table you eat from. You better be very careful. I know people, because Farrakhan, you cannot. Yes, I can, because Farrakhan, you better understand, he gonna play both sides of the table to make sure that he stays safe. So understand something, y'all. Either you're gonna be on the side of Baba Yahuwah, or you're gonna be on the other side. You can't straddle the fence. And that's something that we do. All information ain't good information. Anybody that knows about playing dominoes knows that all money ain't great money. Because you set yourself up for a loss. If you play the wrong domino at the wrong time, you don't know what's in another person's hand, even though you know there are 28 dominoes, and then you got a pile over here, you basically have to blow their cover or play their bluff and get them to play so that they can turn around and show you what they have in their hand. If you don't know what you're doing, you do the wrong thing and you end up tricking your own self, putting your own self in a hole. That's important to understand. Now, it's important that we understand why they hate the followers of the true power. But they still worship whom they call Hashim, the one true power. Understand something. Muslims do not care one fat iota about you or me. Are you hearing me? And when I say this, I mean this in this manner. Their whole goal is to accomplish what they have been sent out to do, and that is to bring everybody under the regime and the instructions of Allah. And that means if it means killing you, that's what they're going to do. Are y'all following me? Understand, when we talk about the heads and we talk about the wounds, look at this again, so we can make sure. So I want y'all to stay with me with this. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. These are, as I read before, leaders and the regions. And as we read down further, we will understand. But now we are building a platform so that we can understand where the anti-Mashiach is going to come from. I don't know if y'all been watching a lot of the things that are coming up. Yeah, we even got Muslims in the congressional race. I've never seen that before. Have you? No. That means the doors are opening up for all these things to happen and to come to pass. But if we ain't watching and we ain't looking, then suddenly it'll be upon us. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
The one thing about a storm, and the reason why so many people get caught up in storms, is because they don't listen and they don't react when they are warned and told, get out the city. Now I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna board my house. I'm gonna ride it out. And most of the time they do ride it out in them houses, because those houses become houseboats.
Mm-hmm.
They are so determined to hold on to that stuff in there and don't value their lives when they are told, get out.
Right.
That can be replaced, but your life can't.
Right.
Because we don't prepare. It's important that we listen. Are y'all following me? Now, it's important that we understand that we have seen many many of our people proclaim many a Messiah, and will only cite 2 such cases to prove the point. Shimon bar Hakba was also hailed as the Messiah in 132 AD in the Jewish rebellion. In fact, all bar Hakba needed was a leading rabbi to rubber stamp him, and away they went. But alas, this was a disaster waiting to happen when the Romans killed many Jews. Now understand something. You got to understand. If somebody assumes your life, they got to play it out to the letter. Are y'all following? They got to play it out to the letter. If I become you, which I don't want to become anybody but me, and I assume your identity, that means I got to pull it all the way out to the letter. I can't stop. I got to become you in every way of the sense, in every sense of the way. Yeah. I got to become you. I got to act like you. I got to eat what you eat. I got to dress like you dress. I got to become you. That when people see me, even though I may not look like you, are y'all following me? I still act so much like you that they're willing to dismiss that. Them people don't look nothing like the real people, but they act like they're supposed to act. Are y'all hearing me? See, these are the games, and if you don't understand the game, that's the problem. Are y'all following me? All right. Now, Rabbi Akiva was quick to proclaim Bar Kokhba, Masonic king. He applied a Bible verse directly to him, a star. Kovac has risen out of Yaakov, Numbers 24 and 17. So Simon became known as Bar Kokhba, son of the star. His mission was clear and sanctioned by rabbinical authority. Understand, rabbinical authority sanctioned. For a people starved for hope, the approval of Akiva was more than enough proof of Bar Kokhba authenticity. Let's go to Numbers 24 and 17. We have it saying it so. All right. Numbers 24 and 17. Let's read that.
I see him, but now I perceive him,
Mm-hmm.
but not near. A star will come from Yaakov, and a scepter will arise from Yasharal. He will smash the forehead of Moab and strike down all the Shethites. And it is so.
And it is so. Put a scripture there for him. Now y'all understand these things. Now y'all understand how quickly people can twist and manipulate certain things. Are you following me? That's important for us to understand. Understanding history and understanding the power of those that have authority to do certain things. Why do you think we're not in there? Because they took us out. But we know the story is always all about us. You follow me? That's important. All right. Now, this kind of thing continue, but it gets a bit more comical when another person comes on the scene who also proclaimed to be the Messiah or the Mashiach, but the Muslims set him straight by making him a Muslim. Yes, that is right. He became a Muslim so much for his prudently chose the latter, setting a turban on his head to signify his conversion to Islam, for which he was rewarded with the honorary title Keeper of the Palace Gates and a pension of 150 piasters a day. The apostasy shocked the world. Leaders and followers alike refused to believe it. Daniel 11:37, however, is the only proof that could have come close to proving the coming of a Mashiach. However, it has one major flaw. The word used for power or God in the Aramaic term is Eloah, of his fathers, that translate into gods in the plural. Also, we cannot just rely on one witness while we have hundreds of scriptures for the Islam and only one to help the one searching for a Jewish anti-Mashiach, and even that fails. In other words, it is important that we understand, stop trying to cram him into a culture that he does not belong in. He's not European. He's not Ibram. You can say Jewish. We know we're not Jews, but when we say that, we're talking about us and not the European or the Ashkenazis. So it is important that we understand you cannot take a size 12 and cram it into a 7. I don't care how you try, it won't work. You can put a 7 and a 12, but it still won't work because it's too little. But you can never put a size 12 and a 7. There's no way that foot is going to become that small and get in that 7. If it do, you didn't cut all his feet off, and even his ankle or her ankle won't get in there because it belongs to a size 12. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
That's important for us to understand. Now, watch this. Once again, looking at the scriptures. So once again, this cannot apply to any Mashiach figure. We must read verses 38 that broadens our understanding. Daniel 11:38. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
All right. When you have it saying so, go back to Daniel 11 and let's look at 38. Scripture interprets what?
Scripture.
It's always going to be a scripture that's going to help to bring clarity to these things. All right, 11:38. All right, now, and it reads, let's read.
Daniel 11:38 reads,
Mhm.
But in his estate shall he honor the power of forces,
Mhm.
and a power whom his Abbat knew not shall he honor, with gold and silver, and with precious stones, and pleasant things.
And it is so. Now, but in his estate shall he esteem the Eloah, God of forces, and an Eloah whom his Avot, or fathers, did not know. Not shall he esteem or honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. If correctly falls in line with Muslims, because the Muslims anti-Mashiach did not believe in the gods of his forefathers, polytheism, but he believed in the God of Muhammad, that is Allah, and honors his God. It's important that we understand the pattern, understand the path, understand how these things are going. Okay, it is the Nazarene. That is the Bible, the Nazarene Bible. That's the Nazarene Bible. Okay. And once again, it puts the writings in chronological order. So instead of you reading it like you would a King James Bible, it reads in the original Yehuda. No, Yehukin, I'm sorry. After Daniel, then Malachi, And from Malachi, we go right into Yehukanim. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with power, and the Word was power. That begins the renewed covenant. That's the first book for the renewed covenant. So it helps us to stand, and it puts us in a better understanding and position. Yeah, phone. All right. Couple more things we're going to cover. All right. Now, once again, this is the Muslims. This is their characteristics of today. Okay, sis. The podcast went out. Please say it again. All right. It is the Nitzrim or the Natzarim version. Can y'all see that? Natzarim version. Natzarim version. Okay. BYNV. BYNV. Okay. And we'll also type it in for you so you can have it. Okay. All right. Ayandabar. All right. Now, excuse me. Remember, before Muhammad came, his forefathers were pagan Arabs, worshiping many gods in Mecca. So this shows us clearly the prophecy cannot be fulfilled by anyone other than a Muslim. So this shows us clearly also that he does not regard the desires of women, just like in Islamic culture. Women are no more than housewives and cannot take up political position or religious position. Sound like some Hebrews. You can't do nothing but shut up and cook in the kitchen and that's it. And be a wife in the bedroom and raise the children. You have any kind of gifts, that's you table that and ain't nothing happening. Well, we know that the Yahweh created us, and he created us with great gifts and great talents. And it's a shame for a man to suffocate or to not allow his Isha to bloom into a beautiful flower with many gifts. If she's a poet, let her be a poet, be a prophetess, even though everybody wants to take on the name Deborah. Everybody is not a Hadassah. Are y'all following me? Everybody is not a Jael. Everybody is not a Ruth. Everybody is not a Naomi. Everybody is not a Miriam. And then her cousin Miriam. We're not all that, but we do have our purpose and our special places and our gifts that the Abba has given to us. To subject or make his Isha subservient and make her to be a Baruch to Yahshua. I said it and I'll say it again. That's wrong. Because now you're acting like the Muslims, your cousins. Are y'all following? Unmasking the attendees. The book. Natzarim. BYNB. That's the abbreviation. BYNB. So it's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. Let flourish. Anybody ever seen Ninja? The Ninja movie? I think the greatest Ninja movie. What's it called?
Ninja Assassin.
Ninja Assassin. That was the greatest ninja movie ever made, I believe. And my favorite part of the movie, the fighting and all that was great, but when they were in the garden and the young lady was in there and meant to grow and not be basically restricted from their growth pattern or the way they are to naturally grow. That's the same thing. If you only take a woman to be a housewife and to rear your children, you've just taken away from your life gifts. Because everybody has a gift, everybody has a talent.
Sure.
But you take that away from them when you tell them you can't do anything but be quiet. No. That's Muslim mentality. Shut up, be quiet. Quiet up, be quiet. No, that's Muslim. That's not us. Are y'all hearing me?
Sure.
Even to today in Saudi Arabia, women are not allowed to drive alone or without special written permission. or in Afghanistan under the Taliban were not allowed to go to school. Even in the Talmud, they said women were not allowed. But I believe it was Miriam, wasn't it, that sat at the feet, Martha.
Mhm.
Martha sat at the feet of Yahush
Mhm.
and learned. That's school. He didn't tell her to get up. It was Martha or Miriam. I believe it was, because one of them, Martha was the one who came out the kitchen and told Yahush she's not doing her job. She's like, you go in there and wait on them. I want to sit at his feet and learn. I want to learn. Let me learn. Let me learn and let me embrace my culture. Let me learn about him, the one who's come to set me free. That's the greatest thing anybody on this planet, and mainly us, could have. That gift is to learn at the feet of Yahush. To learn, to know how to govern ourselves. How are you going to rear your children if you don't know what to teach them? We still got a ways to go when it comes to certain things.
So,
And it is so.
it is so.
And you can't go to school. And schooling is one of the things that's necessary. Homeschooling is best for your children to learn, or even for you to learn. Learn. Y'all know before they open up schools for us, that's how we had to do it. People, it's a honor, it's a benefit. Only if they're going to give you what's right. Only if they're going to give you what is right. The majority of the schools do not teach us anything about ourselves. So what I'm going to pay you to tell me what I already know about you? I already know that. All you got to do is look around.
Okay.
If you're going to invest in yourself and invest in knowing who you are and your culture, our people. Are y'all following me? That's important. All right. Now, I'm going to stop there at that point right there. Why? Because I want what I've already said to you to sink in. I want that to sink so deep in you. Right. I want that to sink so deep in you that you remember that there is a people out there. There is a person that's going to kickstart it. And he is not European. He is not Jewish. And I listen to what I'm about to say. He is not Ibram. Because many times people separate the two. But he is Muslim. And we're going to know more about this individual. We're going to find out more. We're going to know so much more about this, the anti-Mashiach. Why? Because it is important that we know when these things start taking place. Because they are. And when things start coming to the surface, then we won't run scared, or we won't be like, what's going on? Somebody tell me what's happening. We will already be well informed about these things. It is my endeavor to bring light to where darkness is. Darkness represents ignorance. Ignorance is not a bad thing when you choose and desire to change. But it becomes a bad thing when you remain ignorant because you don't want to listen to nobody, because you don't want to change. Mm-hmm. That's when it becomes a very bad thing. Now, I said at the beginning, after we came to a conclusion with this, and once again, I would suggest go back and read Daniel 11:38, 11:37, and read those, because those are in 9 and 27. Daniel 9 and 27. Once again, Daniel 9:27, 11:37, and 11:38. Those are things I would encourage you to go back and read. Now, at this time, I want to take a few minutes to talk with ladies and men. I pray that you will stay with us, don't quit us. At this time, I'm going to shift gears. And I'm going to shift gears because this has been something that's been brought to my attention. And I've been asked to elaborate on it just for a little bit. And it is concerning home birth. And many of you might say, well, We passed, childbearing stages, or we ain't about to have no more babies or whatever. But you may know somebody that's really in a situation that they are trying to make a conscious decision on whether to go to the hospital or whether to have a home birth. I want to read some things to you to show you where a lot of the fear of home birth has evolved from. Where it evolved from, where did it come about? Remember, there was a time when our people couldn't go to the hospital. All we had were midwives because we were not accepted in hospitals and we were not considered people. We were considered, breeders. And so we didn't go to the hospital. You had your baby right there in your home, or you went out in the woods and you gave birth right out there. Sometime you had a midwife, and then sometime women had to do it on their own. But nonetheless, it was done.
Right.
The importance of knowing this now is because of the time that we live in. We have had many people that have gone to the hospital or have been made afraid to go to the hospital because of the consequences and because of the things that now they want to give you. And, it's mandatory for this, mandatory for that. When in the beginning, having a child was supposed to be the greatest thing for a couple to embark upon, is bringing life into the world. Now with everything going on, it's almost to a point where people are afraid because they've been scared, or they have been made to believe that the only option is to go to the hospital. And if you don't go to the hospital, then something really bad can happen. But if you go to the hospital, something bad can really happen. So either way, you are taking a chance. But the chance of a home birth is better than that of a hospital. That's better than a hospital. No, I'm not a medical professional, but I do know enough about life, and I've known enough about the hospital to know that it's better to do what you got to do at home, because you know what's there and you know who's there and you know your environment. Many times our people go to the hospital just to be discouraged and to be mistreated and to just really be done really bad. But I want to read this to you from a book that I've had for a long time, and I had it tucked away, and it's Immaculate Deception. And it is written from a European perspective. Now you got to understand, things that were taking place and happening to them, now that same stuff is happening to us. It's happening to us. You go to the hospital, you're misdiagnosed, and you're given the wrong medication, and you come back and be like, oh my goodness, this done about killed me. If it wasn't for the power and the mercy of Abba Yahuwah, I wouldn't be here. Because we've tended to trust them more than we trust what the Abba has given unto us. It is a gift unto us to give birth. And it is not and help them. After that, it was into the mother's hands, and she did the rest. Now I want to read this. There's so many places in here. And in chapter 2, it talks about the immaculate deception. This is one of the things that today many women have the notion that childbirth was somehow easier for the primitive woman. And in some respects, it was. Primitive woman was accustomed to long hours of physical labor, which not only prepared her for the strenuous effort of childbirth, but also during her pregnancy, moved her baby into an advantageous position for normal birth. She was sturdier, too, for having led a life unencumbered by restrictive layers of clothing or overheated houses. And because primitive crossbreeding with different cultures. Mine was, if you want an easy birth and you want things to go well, stay with your own. Stay with your own culture, because then we ain't got to worry about trying to figure out this, that, and the other. And we don't have to go through all this. Do we have to give extra shots? Do we do whatever? Are y'all following me? No. So different things that were put in there. Now listen to what she says. Crossbreeding with different cultures. Her pelvic size was correctly proportioned to the size of her baby. Her diet was not affected by the processed or prepared foods that weakened the system of civilized woman, nor was she susceptible to the ravages of civilized diseases, syphilis, tuberculosis, typhus, cholera, diabetes, and other ailments had yet to touch her body, and her pelvic bones had not yet been damaged by the effects of rickets and other diseases caused by long-term nutritional deficiency, which also appeared with civilized society. Have you noticed that even though we are supposed to be in a better way of life or in a better time, that people still are nutritionally deficient? There's a deficiency in our nutrition and our way we eat and the way we do things. None of this, however, made the physical effort of childbirth any easier. For primitive woman, it simply allowed fewer complications to occur, and it made the normal process inherently less dangerous than we think of it today, because you didn't have all this. You didn't have IV in your arm. You didn't have to be in a hospital bed laying on your back. You didn't have to go through all of these changes. Many people having to get enemas and all that stuff. You didn't have all that stuff, baby. And that was what you were striving for. During your pregnancy, that's what you strived for. You ate well and you exercised and you focused on taking care of you and making preparations for that new life to come. But now with everything there, you go to the hospital and you prepare to have a baby, or you let them know the first thing they hit you with, some of them, is what birth control you're going to take. They don't even give you a chance to get through the first 9 months of that first pregnancy. Are you going to take birth control? Are you going to tie your tubes, especially if you're Hebrew? Are you going to tie your tubes? Have you had any of these diseases? Have you had that? Have you had this and this, that, and the other? Then they want to make sure you're isolated. They don't want your husband or your boyfriend or whoever in there. They want to ask you these questions because they say confidentiality. Now that's a law. So they can say whether a person can be in there to hear your personal business or not. You may say, well, they could stay. Well, we would prefer they not be in here. But what you asked me, could they stay? Are you hearing me? They ask you, have you had abortions and all these things? They ask you all of these questions. You're wondering, what does that have to do with me about to have my baby? What does that have to do? Once again, the system. The system. The system. Now listen, it's important that we understand. All right, let me see. I read that, but I really want to get to it's more that, then I'm gonna jump to another page. Now, American women do not suffer from disease or pelvic disproportion. The physical disadvantage we do have, poor diet and lack of physical work, can usually be rectified by conscious attention to nutrition and exercise during pregnancy, as doctors should regularly point out but often fail to mention. Lifestyles may change from nation to nation and century to century, but the physical process of childbirth is and always has been the same. It is today just as strenuous and just as awe-inspiring as it was in primitive times. So in other words, no matter what, childbirth is still childbirth. It is how we engage or enter into childbirth that determines how we are going to succeed, or what many would call fail. This is important. Why is this important? Because we have a lot of young women, whether they're single or married, and they're struggling with whether or not they should go to the hospital, because they've been told that, your baby can die. If you have a home birth, your baby can die at the hospital. I'm just being real. Mm-hmm. With all the gadgets and all the machines and all this and all that, the same thing can happen. Your pressure can accelerate because you're in all those lights and you're in all that stuff. You're hooked up and you got 500 people coming in and out of your room where nothing is private anymore. You got this doctor coming in and he bringing in an old buddy coming in and they talking and laughing about the baby about to be born, and you open to the world. And you got a lot of people, understand, you got a lot of people in this hospital. They don't know you from here to provide the instruments, the tools. but they're given a right to come in and see bare naked, butt naked. I'm just being as real as I possibly can be. Don't be bullied about Christianity. Ooh. All right, yeah, I want to read this too. Exactly, instinctively, and without fear. She did not expect what we call pain in childbirth. Child pain. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, give you some of my, but you gotta understand the moment a woman gets pregnant, and first thing we start talking about, ooh, when them labor pains hit, is the fear. Goodness, I'll be glad. I hope this happens quick and fast, and I hope I ain't hurt so bad to what I'm about to think about. Because that's the first thing that we put on the table. We don't think about life is coming. Life is coming. You're about to be a mother. You're about to be a papa. The only thing we're thinking about is, girl, just get through that pain. And that's the main thing on the plate for those 9 months.